Hello and welcome to the Grow Patiently podcast, the healthcare success podcast, where we meet with people in the healthcare industry and we learn all about their careers and their practices and the businesses they're in and how they've scaled them, how they've grown them, and all the ups and downs along the way. Now, my name is Hugo Trace. I'm the host. I'm from growpatiently.com. You can find out all about us by heading to the website and learn about how you can grow your clinic. Now, in terms of this podcast, we do have, if you've been listening, a small payment, shall we say, for listening, which is very straightforward. It's just that if you watch it and you take one thing that you enjoy or one thing that you learn, you laugh or you cry, then please do just share it with one other person. That's the simple tax or payment. So let's dive into it. I'm here with Dr. Doug, a chiropractor. I'll pass it over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. Good morning, Hugo, and thanks for having me on. My name is Dr. Doug Long, and I am a chiropractor practicing in Tacoma, Washington. And I am a co-owner of Renaissance Chiropractic Center and with my brother. And I'm from a large family of chiropractors. We have 14 chiropractors in my family. My wife, my daughter, who's pregnant, my son-in-law, two sisters, a father, an uncle, and then my wife has family members that are chiropractors. So between the two of us, there's 14 in our family.
It's brilliant. Congratulations on the soon-to-be latest edition. That's wonderful news.
Thank you. First-time grandfather.
Oh, wow, brilliant. That really is exciting news. Gosh, that's going to be brilliant. And then potentially another future chiropractor.
Potentially, we'll see.
Got a way
I mean,
to
if
go.
they don't go into the family business, I don't know what we're going to do with them.
Exactly. Okay, so my first question is this. That since I've been doing this podcast, I've come up with this idea called the recommendation road trip, I'm now calling it, which is that when I finally get round to doing a large road trip of all the different places that all the different guests have been, then I want to go to the places that they recommend. So my question is, if I do come to Tacoma, Washington, what is the one thing that I should do to really experience the place like the locals do?
Now, Tacoma is just about 40 miles south of Seattle, and it is a beautiful city on the water. It's on the Puget Sound. We have a majestic view of Mount Rainier, which is a 14,000-foot mountain. And I would say that there are a lot of outdoor activities. The Puget Sound is an inlet of the ocean that comes in. And so just going down to the ocean, going down to the waterfront is a great place to be. There's wonderful places to eat in Tacoma. And even a trip up to Mount Rainier, which is about an hour and 15 minutes, would be a great trip to go up to Paradise and experience the mountain, especially for those people who have never seen a mountain like this. It's absolutely beautiful.
Brilliant. Is it snowy at the top?
It's snowy almost all year round. Yes.
Wow. We don't really have any mountains like that in the UK. We have borderline hills.
Yeah. We kind of take it for granted, and when we have people that come from out of town that really have never experienced it, it's quite amazing for them to see something that it just stands right out in the middle of a mountain range, and it's an inactive volcano, but it's a beautiful, beautiful mountain.
Thank you. I suppose you get used to these things when you live so close to them.
We do, yes. It's kind of nice. We have water, we have mountains. It's a beautiful, lots of lakes. So Tacoma's a great area just to, if you're an outdoors person, for sure, Washington is a wonderful place to be.
Great. Thank you. I'm excited. So, chiropractor and business owner, co-owner, and massive family of chiropractors as well. I'm really excited to sort of unpack all of this. Let's start by walking people who are listening through how you came into chiropractic. I suppose it's maybe a little bit obvious, but how you got into that and the route that you sort of took into ownership, and what sort of led you up to this point.
Absolutely. My dad is a chiropractor, and he started practice, I believe, in 1967. And he built a large office with my uncle, and the office is 6,500 square feet. And they had associate doctors throughout the years. And eventually, my brother and my wife and my cousin and his wife all joined the practice as well. And then in 2002, my dad and uncle retired, and my brother and I purchased my dad's practice, and my cousin and his wife purchased his dad's practice. And over time, Unfortunately, my uncle passed away, but my cousin moved on to a different location. My brother and I have owned the practice since 2018. And currently we have, my wife just recently stopped working, or actually she's going to stop at the first of the year. She was filling in for us after we lost one of our doctors, our associate doctors. He went to open his own practice. And so now we currently have three full-time associate doctors. We have three massage therapists in the office, and we have a fairly large support staff that help us to serve our patients.
So I imagine, thank you for sharing that. I imagine that a large part of your business, as with any business, is about bringing everyone together. But I think with the family element, it must be even more intense. Can I just ask, actually, before we do that, did you meet your wife through working together, and then that's how you?
It's a long story, but I'll give you the short version. I went to school with my wife's boyfriend's brother, and he had told me that she was up in Washington and that I probably would run into her. There's not too many 5'1" blonde chiropractors, at least at that point in time, 32 years ago. And we met, and after that, that's all she wrote.
Brilliant. Yeah, I just asked because I met my wife back when I used to be a history teacher. She was the drama teacher, and that's how we met. So I'm interested in these kind of things. So, family
Yes.
in business. I mean, it must be good, otherwise you wouldn't keep doing it. But how does it all work?
Well, fortunately, my brother and I, he's the youngest, and I of six kids, I'm the oldest, and we get along great. In fact, over all the years that we've been owners, we really have not had a major blow up or argument. Certainly, we disagree on certain things, but the nice thing is that we have the same philosophy of how we want to run our business. We understand how we want to treat our team members, our employees, and we've tried to create a culture in our office with our mission statement, a vision statement, and core values. And all of our hiring practices are based upon those core values. And right now, we just have an amazing team in our office that help to support us. We have a woman who's worked for us for over 50 years that started when my dad was in practice. We have another woman that's been there for over 30 years. And many of our team members have been there for 6 to 10 years. So we try to create a culture that we treat our employees like family. And we've really worked hard on that over the last few years to encourage this type of a culture. And people want to stay and they want to work with us because we have created an environment that they enjoy working there. They enjoy helping people.
Yes, well, 50 and 30 years is certainly a testament to that. So, in practical terms, how does that sort of translate from you and your brothers thinking, okay, this is very clearly what we want to do in terms of the direction we're going? How does that translate into your day-to-day work for people who are listening and maybe own a practice and are thinking, yeah, I really want to make sure that I create this culture in my own business?
We hired a business coach a few years ago. My brother and I were trying to figure out how eventually we were going to phase out of practice or retire. And we realized that there were a lot of missing pieces that we had. We didn't have training manuals for all the seats in our office. We didn't do, quarterly or annually reviews. We just had for a long time people that worked with us for long periods of time. We really didn't have a lot of turnover. And when COVID hit, that changed. We had quite a bit of turnover, and we realized that we needed to change some things. And so, with this coaching, it really helped us to, number one, we worked with our team to help create our mission statement, our vision statement, and our core values. And those core values, when we do interviews, we want to hire somebody that fits within those core values. And it's something that we preach. It's something that we talk about a lot. We have many times, which we never did in the past, shut our office down during patient hours so that we can train and that we can meet with our team and work on those different aspects in our office. Our office is open because we have so many doctors. We're open Monday through Saturday. So there's really no off times where many offices have a half day off where they can spend that 4 hours, 5 hours training with their staff. we haven't had that time. So over the past few years, we've actually shut our office down so that we could put the time in to help create the kind of culture that we're looking for.
That's interesting. And then during those days, what sort of things are you doing? Is it sort of raw, almost medical training and things like that, or is there team building aspects?
It's I think it's more team building and also creating an environment where they can give their voices to what things they think are working well, what things that we could change, and giving solutions to those different things. There was a time where we always would just say, well, this is how we're doing it, without receiving input as to whether they thought that that was the best way to do it. And we've really become much more vulnerable over the years in allowing them to say, well, we don't think that's a great idea because we're not in the trenches. I mean, we're a very, very busy office, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so in order for those moving parts to work correctly, we need to have those who are in the trenches telling us what works best for them. And so most of what we've done is more on the procedural aspects of how to run the office, and also the team building and the cultural aspect of things.
The systems are so important, especially if you're going to start removing yourself from aspects. Otherwise, no one really knows what they're doing. And it's when you're forced to create the system and the process, that's when you realize sort of how convoluted or how reliant it was on your own knack, which I do think is
Absolutely.
quite
We're
interesting.
many times stuck in our ways of doing things, and learning how to change is growing. And you would think that 32 years of practice, it would be difficult that you had growth, but we certainly are definitely learning and growing more, that we have brought on this business coach that's really helped us through this whole process.
Well, I suppose there's been a lot of change in the practice, considering it's been open such a long time. Did you notice things? Did you work in the practice before you bought it? And were you able to sort of see a marked difference between how things have developed over time?
Absolutely. When I came into the practice in 1993, my dad and uncle ran the practice, and we were associate doctors, and we mostly were working on doing examinations, taking x-rays, marking x-rays, and we did some patient care. We were required to build our own practice and bring those patients in, which meant on our days off, which weren't many, we were out marketing, and we were doing health fairs and different things like that. And so 2002 is again when we purchased the practice. So I worked there for almost 10 years before we took over, and there was a lot of change, and it really has evolved over the years to where there's a big difference and obviously with technology nowadays transitioning from paper files to electronic. And currently the associate doctors that we are working with, they're more supporting our practice and helping us to see the patients that we bring in, as opposed to going out and building their own practices. We found, and using a company that helped us to find an associate doctor, that many of the new chiropractors coming out of school really didn't have a desire to go out and build and create a practice. They just wanted to come in and serve a practice. And it was very difficult for us to find associates in the other model that we'd been used to, where we would bring them in, pay them a salary, but they had to build their own practice. And so it was very competitive in that aspect. But when we learned that there are many doctors that really, again, were more caregivers, wanted to serve, that it was much easier to find somebody and just bringing them on and paying them a straight salary, which has been a big change for us over the years. And many of our procedures that we do, that we've brought into the practice that help support the healing process, new technology and high intensity laser therapy and non-surgical spinal decompression therapy, all of those things are helping us to uh, overcome barriers for patient healing, basically. So there's been a drastic change over the years since we purchased the practice, and how we do things. Again, a lot more training of our team, a lot more systems, I think, in place than were there prior.
Mm. And have you seen an impact in some of the team building elements and these cultural aspects? Obviously, you said that the business coach has been great, but have you seen how, that openness to the growth and change and vulnerability, as you said, has led to a certain result? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, I think it has helped to instill passion into our team about helping people and making a difference in other people's lives. When people walk in the door to our office, we're just the chiropractors are just a part of that healing process. Having somebody that's there that's welcoming them, that creates warmth, that creates a safe space for those patients, I think really helps them to know that they're in the right place and that they're in a healing environment. And there's many times where you go into other medical practices and other practices where there's a woman sitting behind the glass and you could barely get their attention. So I think that's really helped in creating this culture. And I think it's also helped to reduce the amount of turnover that we had with our employees. Just again, creating an environment that is non-toxic, welcoming, and just creating that culture. I think it's been very beneficial. And I really believe that many places have drama in the workplace, and we've been very fortunate to try and eliminate that. And it just makes coming to work a lot easier.
Yeah, no one wants the drama, that's for certain. And
For sure.
I've experienced my fair share of that back when I was a teacher. It's drama heaven, that heavy that place.
Yeah.
But I was going to say that it reminds me slightly of this book. There's a man called Tony Say. He sadly passed away, actually. He was a young man as well, but he created the company called Zappos, which I think is a
Oh yeah.
famous American company, but it's not so well known in the UK. But he had a book called Delivering Happiness, and it was all about what you're talking about, the culture, and how he focused primarily on building the culture in his business, and also building a culture among his audience and the people he served, and that being the key focus as opposed to profit or growth or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Right.
And I just remember he had this aspect in there where on the day that people did all the interviews, he had these very clear criteria of what he was kind of looking for, and the questions were all designed to bring out certain character traits. But at the very beginning, I think he gave each person a check for like $100,000 to say you can leave with this, and then that's it, or you can stay. And that was sort of the first test.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd really recommend having a look at it. I'll send it to you afterwards. So
absolutely.
talk to talk to me about growing the practice, because as you've said, it's made a lot of changes. Technology has changed dramatically. What are you seeing as the sort of levers for you pulling to continue to grow the practice at this stage?
Well, we're very fortunate that because of our time in practice and the location of our clinic, that we have multi-generations of families that have come to see us. So my brother and I are primarily referral-based practice, which I would say 90% of our patients come from referrals, whether that's from patients or other healthcare providers and relationships that we've created in the business world. And a very small percent is from marketing. And we get a lot of patients from Google. Fortunately, we have a lot of five-star reviews, and I think when people are looking, through Google, that's what they're looking for, or doctors that have good reviews, and that's really helped us to build our practice. But we also realize that with having new associates and them not building their own practice, that we have to do other things to help bring more new patients into the office to help support and keep them busy as well. And so we've looked at many different things from social media and not spending a lot of money in that realm, but also just getting involved in the community a little bit more. I mean, there's so many people out there that are just inundated with stress, whether that's stress in their lives or stress of sitting at a computer monitor 8 hours a day, just the postural stress that puts on them, and being able to go out and communicate that to bring people into the office to help them understand how we can help them in those areas. So fortunately, as I said, we haven't really had to spend a lot of money on bringing people into the office. We do some internal marketing a couple times a year. We do some promotional ways of bringing people in at a reduced fee, but for the most part, we've been very good at mostly building through referral base.
That's fantastic. It's really clear that relationships such an important part, even from the fact that you're working with your family. I'm interested now that you're talking about the systems and the things you're putting in place so that you can elevate and out of the business a little bit. On reflection, perhaps you've already done this, but what do you think are the key things you've done to accelerate the referral sort of network and the rate with which people are happy to say, yeah, you should definitely go and see these guys? And have you kind of put these in place that you say, yeah, these are the three things we do, or is it more natural?
I think to some extent it's more natural. I think creating the environment that we have, again, I believe that our office is very warm and welcoming, and we go above and beyond. We really strive for excellent customer service. And I think that's such an important part of creating that referral based practice. I mean, when you go to a restaurant and you have an experience that is above and beyond what you expected, you're going to go out and share that with people. And so that's the type of experience we try to create with our patients that come in. We want them to know that we care for them. We want them to know that we're here to help them in any way that we can. And then if we can't help them, then we're going to try and point them in a direction that can help them. So I think creating that environment and just being caring, and also knowing that if there's something that we did wrong, that we want to make it right. If we made somebody wait too long, or if we had a patient that somehow their bill was done incorrectly, we want to make sure that experience is not a negative experience. We want to turn that around into a positive experience. So yeah, that's a big part of what we do. We try to make sure that we call all of our patients after their very first visit just to see how they're doing, and make sure that they're responded okay. And if they're having any trouble, what advice can we give them at that point in time? So that's a big part of what we do. And I'll be honest, we ask for referrals. We tell patients, you've got a great result. Who else do you know that is suffering that could use this type of help? Because many people are, they basically resign themselves to living on medications to help deal with pain, and they don't know that there's another option out there. So sharing those experiences and asking patients to share those experiences has also, I think, really helped build that referral base.
Definitely. And you say it's natural, and I presume you naturally came to these things, but those are some very clear things that people can do. A lot of people don't want to ask patients for referrals, and it's a big mistake. And sometimes they feel like they don't want to ask someone who's already referred. As far as I'm concerned, they've already referred once, they're very likely to refer again. So feel free to keep asking.
Yeah. We also give our patients, we like to reward them. We send them a little thank you card with a little gift card that says, hey, thank you for your referral. And I think that that's important. Just acknowledging the patient for getting out of their comfort zone, maybe to tell somebody, because many times there's fear of them being rejected about seeing a chiropractor, whatever it may be. So stepping out of their comfort zone to do that, we want to acknowledge that for them. And I think other things too is, we talk a lot about making sure that the environment that you're in is refreshed and updated and to date, if you will. There's many times where you walk into offices and they haven't updated anything for the past 20 years, and the paint is faded, and the cushions are torn. And so we do an exercise with our team where we have everybody walk through the office from the front door in through the parking lot, and just writing down areas that, oh, this, we need to paint this area, or, we've got this table is scratched, we need to fix that. And I think that is also a really important part of just, you want people to walk in and you want them to have that wow experience of, wow, this is a nice place. This is a place I need to be. And many times you walk into your office and you just don't even recognize things anymore. It's just so automatic every single day. It's like walking past, something that is needs to be fixed or repaired, but you just, it's 3 months down the road and it's still there. So having some fresh eyes, I think, are important too.
Oh, this is just absolute gold. It's what I'm always talking to people about, saying you really should do this. The I have this whole crib sheet of all the different elements that people consider as they're going into a healthcare practice. And it's things that you wouldn't often notice. If I don't know your practice at all, I'll probably even look in the corners to see if it's dusty. I'll be checking, like you said, if the
Right.
table's chipped. And I'll be thinking about the way that the reception team interact with the nurse or the doctor, and how the doctor interacts with, and how every stage works. because if they're all connected, it all gives off the nice feeling. So I think you've really just passed on so many gems there for how you can increase referral. And I would encourage anyone who's listening who has a practice and is trying to increase the rate with which people refer, that you just rewind that and listen to it again rather than me trying to summarize it again. But the real takeaway I'm going to take for myself is the reminder that what we used to do, because we have fewer clients obviously than healthcare practices, you have many, many people. So we used to always send handwritten cards and a gift when people initially signed up, and at other milestones as well, like when they got their first 100th patient or something like that. But I think we've slipped. I need to get back into that. And it's a reminder when you said that when people refer, you send them the card, because it makes such a huge difference to say, you know, thank you for doing this and I appreciate it. And especially something physical, because then it's in their house as well. And then when someone says, oh, what's that? They go, wow, you'll never believe it. That's my chiropractor. Those guys sent me a really sweet card. There's another referral.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. For us, it's a $10 Starbucks card or whatever it may be. So it's just that recognition of thank you for doing that. And I think it's really not how much you give. It's just the
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that you are giving something.
Hmm. Oh, and actually, the other one I wanted to say that really was golden from you was calling the patients after their treatment. People miss that trick, but because they've gone into the abyss. But actually, if you just touch base with them and see how they're responding, it's just instant care. But I suppose ultimately you're doing it, like you said, naturally, because it stems from the fact that you care, and so you came up with the idea. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned professional networking and how you get in the community and things like that. You told me briefly about the chiropractic Knights of the Round Table, which I just think sounds totally epic. And so I really want you to tell people about what that is and how that works and how it informs your practice and helps you.
Well, this is a fraternal organization that was started by Dr. Chuck Gibson, who is a very well-known chiropractor. He's owned a coaching business for many, many years. And he just came up with this idea of the Knights of the Round Table. And it's a group where you're invited to join by a member. And there are meetings that you attend. And every doctor, currently we have 30 active members from all over the United States. And we actually have Dr. Terry Chimes, the ex-drummer for The Clash, who's in England, is one of our brothers. And so we have 30 active members. And at our meetings, every doctor is required to do a 15-minute presentation on something relating to practice, healthcare, self-improvement, whatever it may be. And so it's a group that's coming together to help each other grow, to grow in our practices, to grow in our lives. And I've been a member since 2008. My dad is also a member, and he's been a member since I was about 13 years old. And it's just a wonderful group. The founder is 91 years old, and I believe our youngest member is in his early 40s. And we meet 3 times a year. And it's just a wonderful group that, again, has helped us to build it. I would just say that for many people out there, having a group that you can bounce ideas off, share with, uh, realize that many times something you're going through, somebody else is going through as well, and they can help share those experiences. So it has been a really enriching organization for me over the time that I've been in there. In fact, I've never missed a meeting, which I just, every time it comes up, it's absolutely something that I thoroughly enjoy. And we've become like a family. So it's not a quote business group. It really is a brotherhood. And it's been just a wonderful experience for us. And we're not out there in the community. We're not out, in the profession. We kind of keep to ourselves. But again, this is what we do. And it's really helping us to bring the profession to a different level and how we can influence other chiropractors as well.
It's so important to get feedback from people who are slightly ahead of you. But also, it's really great to give education based on what you've done. I know when I used to be a teacher, I always found that taught a new subject that I didn't really know that much about, the classic teacher, you're a few chapters ahead of the students. The the sort of way that that embeds in your mind and gives you a new experience is pretty staggering. So it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are many times there's doctors that are just out on their own island and they feel isolated. And I think it's really important for people to get out and get involved. There's many places where you can go where you have to get continuing education credits or conventions or seminars that where you're getting with like-minded people. And I think that's a really important part of helping you to again not feel like you're alone in what you're doing, and that there's other people that you can share your experiences with and some of the hardships with as well, and then they can help lift you up and help keep you in a positive mindset.
Mm. Beyond the systems that you've been talking about, I know the goal is for you and your brother to have an associate-led practice. And I know that's something in its different forms that many people are either trying to achieve or hoping at some point to do it. Besides the systems that you're putting in place, are there any other things that you've been thinking, yeah, this is really going to help us, or something you've already done that is really helping you?
Ah, that's a good question. I just think that healthcare is changing. I think that people are looking for, at least in our realm, alternatives to surgery, alternative to medications. And I think it's nice to be able to do things. And we talked a little bit about AI and how that is it can be scary in many ways, but it also there's just some amazing things that it's done. And I think that that can also help people to grow their practice, creating newsletters and um, there's just a lot of different software out there that help just makes things easier. I have a friend that is designed a software chatbot that helps doctors to train when they are communicating with patients. And it's so the chatbot is responding to questions, asking questions, and how that doctor goes through that process, and then it analyzes that. So that's something that I believe he's launching pretty soon, but just a game changer because many doctors coming out of school really lack the ability to communicate. And when you're in a profession like chiropractic, where people are very unfamiliar with it, that communication is absolutely essential in helping them to understand what it is that we do and the value that we have with it. And I think that AI is going to play a big role in that as we go forward. Again, making things easier. When your office is shut down and you have somebody call in and you have actually an AI chatbot that can talk to the person and make an appointment for them. I experienced that for the very first time when I was considering a home equity line of credit, and a person called me back, and I initially thought, is this a real person? But then I realized it was not a real person, but it took a while to figure that out. But I think that can play a big role in what we do as well.
And even when you did figure it out, you were still grateful that you booked the appointment through it, I presume.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a hard time stumping them. So
It's amazing. I mean, we're going to be definitely booking restaurant tables with AI voice agents. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years? It's going to be everything's different. We may not even have smartphones anymore. We may have moved to something new.
right. It's technology seems to move exponentially, and again, it's exciting, but can also be a little scary at times too.
Definitely. I think the communication aspect that you mentioned is really important. And a lot of people talk about that in the medical world and healthcare world, because there's so much jargon and people often come from a place of a bit of fear and a bit of pain. Naturally, those are the two things they're feeling. So it's so important for someone to be able to calm those nerves and clearly explain, look, this is what I understand of your issue and this is where we're trying to go. I wonder if there's anything that you've done throughout your career, or maybe if you would go back, uh, that you would do that would help with that communication. So perhaps if someone young and just starting out in healthcare is thinking, gosh, well, I'm an expert in X, Y, and Z, or, I'm really good having finished university at this specialty, but I hadn't thought about working on that. What should I do next?
Well, I think that the biggest mistake that you see young doctors come out of school with is that they want to impress people and they want to use big terms and technical terms that patients have no clue what you're talking about. They're doing this, but in their head they're doing this. They're like, I don't know what you just said. So I think if I could give some advice is to keep things very, very simple, to use terms that people can understand and use analogies. Many times we one of the analogies I used with uh, degenerative disc disease, where the discs wear down to deteriorate, is the front end of a car getting out of alignment and how that creates abnormal stress and wear and tear on the tires. And it causes those tires to wear down abnormally and it causes them to wear down much quicker than they would otherwise. So, using analogies that people can understand, I think, is really, really important and really trying to avoid the technical medical terms because most of your patients are going to have no clue what you're talking about and you're just speaking Greek. So, that would be my biggest advice to give is to find ways that you can communicate with stories, with analogies, and then reading the person that you're talking to. If you're talking to a mechanic, then you use analogies involving cars. Maybe you talk to an athlete and you use terms about exercise. So I think those are things that can really help with the communication process.
Hmm. Definitely, such a good idea. In our industry, people talk about things like the reducing impact of meta tags, and everyone's just thinking, I don't know what that means.
Right.
Um, yeah, gosh, so many gems that you've spoken about, and I really think that it's a lot of interesting things about building up uh, sort of an understanding in the people that you work with, and that then leads to them feeling like they can confidently pass on the knowledge that they've learned from you to others, which obviously has a huge impact on growing your business. So I think so many important things that you've shared, and I really want to say thank you for that. Before we move on to my last
Absolutely.
last question from today, I'll quickly wrap up a little bit, which is that basically thank you everyone who's listening as well. I appreciate it. If you've made it this far, then surely you've got at least one thing that you've taken from Dr. Doug 100%. So please do pay the tax, pass it on. This podcast to one other people, person, pardon me. I do really appreciate it. And other than that, Dr. Doug, how can people maybe find out more about you or about your practice or about maybe reaching out to you? Are there things online that they can find out about you?
Absolutely. So our practice is Renaissance Chiropractic Center in Tacoma, Washington. So the great state of Washington. And I'm happy to answer questions. My email is Dr. Doug, so DRDOUG at Chiro, CHIRO, Tacoma, TACOMA.com. So Dr. Doug at ChiroTacoma.com. And I'm happy to share information, answer questions, help people out if they're struggling, if they're having any issues. Certainly, I don't expect that that you're going to have to pay for any of that. It's all free. It's just part of something that I like to do is if anybody needs some help in what they're doing, please reach out to me. I'm happy to do that. If you're ever in Tacoma, you want to come visit our practice, I certainly would welcome that as well. And you can reach me the same way and we can arrange a time to come by. And Hugo, if you're in Washington State, which is a long ways away, but I'd love to have you come out and show you around a little bit.
Bless you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure the listeners do. It's very kind of you. You can really hear the care in everything you've said. It's just, I've really enjoyed speaking with you today and previously before, but it's so nice to hear. I think in healthcare, everyone has an element of care, but sometimes when you really piece apart what people are doing in their practice, you see how that care translates into day-to-day work and also how that impacts growth, which, from my standing point, bearing in mind that's kind of what we do, it's great to hear. So my final question is this. Maybe I'll ask a slightly different variant. No. So if you could go back in time, right? This is it. Let's say you suddenly there's a click of the fingers and you go shoot back in time to a young Dr. Doug, or it would maybe be a young Doug before the doctor.
Yes.
And you just have a short moment in time to speak to him before you're whisked back to this morning. And you're not allowed to say, come up with Google or buy Bitcoin. But one piece of maybe character building advice or something like that that you would share with them, what would that be before you get rushed back to here?
Oh boy, that's I wish I had this question ahead of time so I could put some thought to this. I There are many things that I think about and I look back, and we have again a large practice with a lot of doctors and many moving parts, and there's many times I think, would I go a little bit smaller if I had the opportunity? And it's such a difficult question because I know that, with many employees, there's many challenges, and you have high overhead costs when you have a bigger practice or a bigger facility. And so those are some things that I have thought about. If I had to go back and do it over again, would I do it a little bit differently? And I don't know if I can answer that question. I think there's so many beneficial things that I've experienced. And having a dad that and uncle that started this practice so many years ago, and to have again multiple generations of people. I have people that are coming since they opened this practice back in the early 80s. People are still coming in for chiropractic care. So it's such a reward to have that and to have that presence and in our community. So I don't know if I could change that. So again, with all the difficulties that come with a larger practice, I think that I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, and just I don't know what I would tell myself. Maybe I would tell myself back then to maybe save my money a little bit sooner. So, I like to spend money when I was younger. So, I probably, if I were going to tell people, you know, put 10% aside, save your money. That way you have options, that, when you decide that you want to retire, that you're in a better, in a good financial position to do that. I try and explain that to my daughter and my son-in-law, that I think those are important. And I think many times when we're young, we like to spend, and so I would say go ahead and spend, but take that 10%, set that aside, put that into retirement, whatever you need to do. And so maybe if I would tell my young self, I would have said, be a little smarter with your money, and that way as you get older, you have different options. So that would be my advice to myself 30 years ago.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I do like it because then you get that raw reaction.
Right.
Okay, well, Dr. Doug, honestly, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. And thank you so much for sharing everything. Thank you to all the listeners as well. I appreciate you. Um, thanks again, Dr. Doug.
Thank you. And again, it's just an honor to be invited. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a successful, happy, and healthy 2026.
Thank you. Care to the very end. There you go.
There you go.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.